All right, so I'll dive in and I'll speak to today networking for fractional executives. We'll dive into the details, and as such, I'll have several points and best practices and what to do and what not to do, and I'll say that feel free to tune out for a lot of this if you'd like to, but I do have one particular point, and I'll make it really clear. If there's something that you really kind of want to take notes on, one slide, really straightforward, but I think it's going to be really powerful in terms of how often you're going to use the tool that I'm going to share with you. So having said that, I will ideally. All right, great. I'll go back. All right, fantastic. So my arrow keys are working. So a little bit about myself. My name is Umar Malik. I am Director of Consulting at Change Connect. We are a boutique consulting firm that focuses on sales transformations, but my favorite part of the gig is being that fractional sales manager at various firms of varying differing verticals. And technical startups, tech startups are kind of my favorite. Running a young sales team and kind of getting those best practices into place, building something sticky and focusing on change management. That's also a bit of what we do. So I've been doing this for a number of years. So any questions on anything sales and building a team and change management in particular, happy to connect. My LinkedIn there, Umar-Malik, if you have any questions. So today we'll dive into a little bit of, I'll touch on fractional roles and networking and why, but I mean, there's an obviousness to it. But then in a couple of stages, preparing for networking, how do you do that? And that's what I'm going to touch base a little bit on LinkedIn and what that should look like and some best practices. I can talk to that for hours. How to network painlessly, more or less just how to network if you hate networking. And what some tips and tricks to get you through the pain and all that. Some people love it. I'm kind of an extrovert at times, but in this day and age, it can be work and it become a bit challenging. Some mistakes to avoid and make those really clear for you. And none of this stuff is going to be rocket science, but I think all of it is going to be wonderfully useful, to be honest. That gamification piece. Now that's the one that I want you to take away from this. If there's one thing that I truly believe will be useful for everyone on the chat on our event today, that one is definitely going to be it. And then we'll talk a little bit about planning. So a fractional role and networking. We wonderfully during our onset first message, our roles typically in a fractional sense can be short-term engagements. But what I found really interesting in terms of your experience, absolutely, it's important. But what seems to be more important is making sure that there is a cultural fit. I will say all the time, people buy from people they like or are like. And as such, hang on one second, guys. Yeah, are we having issues with, oh, you know what? Fair enough. If I zoom in, you know what, I'll do that. All right, great. If you're having issues reading, for sure. The slides will be a little less important in all honesty, but I'll make sure that I do that. Adding a little complexity to this, but thanks for the note, Alex. I'll do my best to kind of make the text a bit bigger. Short-term engagements, cultural fit, people gotta like you. And how do they get to know who you are? That comes from absolutely learning more about you, connecting with people. I was going to say face-to-face, but in a one-on-one capacity, connecting your avatar to their avatars, letting them know that what's important to you. Do they have kids? Or is family important to them? Is there something from a technical standpoint that you're both passionate about? That's going to be key. And also, lastly, that growth mindset. And you're going to need to share that as well. You like becoming uncomfortable. From what I do, I'm in the world of consulting, and I've got to become an expert in several different verticals, companies on a fairly regular basis. One month I'm in the medical space. Another month I'm in construction. A month after that I'm at like I said, a tech startup. So I need to be able to share the fact that I'm good at that and I can grow quickly. I can learn quickly. I can get up to speed quickly and connect and build rapport quickly. And the best way for me to do that is with networking and actually meeting the individuals that I'd like to work with. So I'm hoping that this clicks through to the next slide. Let's see here. All right, guys, I think I've messed up my, let's try it again. All right, my zooming has caused some problems. Oh, there we go. Let's do that. Fantastic. Okay, so LinkedIn, they're going to look you up. And ideally, when you meet someone, that's the first thing that they're going to do. So make sure that is on point. And make sure you've done all the heavy lifting on your LinkedIn before you go out and network. Because again, it's going to be the first thing that people are going to take a look at. Make sure all of these things, I refer to this as kind of curb appeal, as things that oh, let's do this again. Zoom in nicely. Great. These points that you need to make sure these things are on point. Your profile picture, and in order of importance, profile picture, your banner, your headline, your summary, and then eventually also content. And content is going to be key in terms of building out credibility. Because again, when the people look you up, that's what they're going to care about. So hopefully this will let me, yeah, great. Awesome. Profile picture. I don't think I need to zoom in on this. This individual is doing everything correct in both photos, but one's a professional photo. I think it's pretty clear which one. Same individual. I think it might even be the same jacket, but you can see how different it is in terms of how professional that the photograph looks. Suits, backgrounds, all of that, but done with a very high-end camera. So if you can afford it, leverage the professional photograph. It does absolutely make a difference. And one suggestion I've kind of noticed, the trend might be changing a little bit, but previously you had a white background as kind of on trend for LinkedIn photos. I think we've moved into something a little bit more interesting behind you. If you have a cool office space, or in this particular case, if you are outside, then I would suggest that's a little bit more on trend in terms of what makes sense. But make sure that photograph is key. It's the first thing people look at. If that's not on point, people are going to move on, and you want to make them go down this list of items that I'm going to be speaking to. Great. I'll leave this on for a moment to kind of walk through. The banner, also key. If you work for, if you have your own company, you have your firm, you'll have that common branding, and make sure everybody has the same banner and something professional. And it's really easy to do that. There's a lot of tools that allow you to create banners. You don't have to have a degree in or some sort of design training. But if you don't, and you're on your own, still don't leave it blank. It makes your profile look unfinished. If there's a quote from someone that resonates with you, you can easily put up a photograph with that quote, or if there's a city skyline or something along those lines, but just don't leave it blank. Your headline, that one also very, very, very key. The search algorithms on LinkedIn weigh your headline. And in this case, for Shaquille O'Neal, business mogul, former athlete, purveyor of fun. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He's Shaquille O'Neal. But for us, you want to have text in there that illustrates your credibility, your areas of focus, but also importantly, you want to make sure that the keywords that you believe recruiters are looking for, throw them into your headline. Because as I said, the headline is weighted very heavily in terms of the search algorithm. So make sure that there's some thought put into that. Your summary, similarly, a lot of best practice in that. Don't leave it blank. Put in information. Keywords matter here as well. So if there are certain things that if I want to put make sure I focus on change management, fractional executive, sales manager, make sure that language is also in the summary. While that is useful for a human's eyes to be able to learn a lot more about you and understand who you are and connect, also in terms of the search algorithms, that matters. And then lastly, I'll get into content. Make sure your content game is on point. Do not leave that blank, because that absolutely, it goes towards credibility. Why are they looking you up? Does this person know what the heck they're talking about? If you are sharing content that shows that you are credible, that you understand your space, that you are constantly learning, the example I always give is, do you want a doctor that's relying on a fancy degree from 30 years ago? Or do you want the one that is reading articles, writing articles, participating in conferences, How do people know that about you? LinkedIn. Put all of it there. Today's events, take a screenshot. Not necessarily in my face, that might turn people away, but try to showcase what you're doing in your space. This person knows what they're doing. This person is passionate about the area that they're looking into. All right, awesome. Painlessness, that is key. How to network if you hate networking. So I'll dive into this and I'll be cognizant of the time, and I think we're doing okay. But it doesn't have to be hard. And in particular, I apologize. I'm gonna have to go through the bullets, so and honestly, if anybody wants the deck, you can shoot me a note afterwards. Focusing on building relationships. Don't go out there. Don't just push a resume. It's just like sales in that you're not going to necessarily close on that first conversation. So try to learn about the individuals that you're meeting with as people, and as such, ideally that becomes a back and forth, and you'll be sharing together. Go where you feel comfortable. In the old world, I hated morning events. I wouldn't mind afternoon events, and then evening events kind of fit into my schedule. Actually, no, I'll say that a few years ago. And then my son was born, who's 2 now, and I hate coming home after he's gone to bed. So I've kind of flipped. I liked going to the earlier events. But it didn't matter because based on process and the way that I was attacking it, and I'll get into the process later, that didn't matter. You could basically, at my highest, I was going to 40 networking events per month. You could pick them by location, time of day, the type of food they had, whether it was a vodka bar in the evening or whether it was, whether it was a breakfast place before 8 a.m. I thought 7 a.m. because you had to get there for certain networking events. Go where you feel comfortable, do the research. It's not just you against the world. I always use an example of going with my colleague. I would do fairly well on my own, but if I had someone else there, a wing person, I just did better. It felt better. I was way more comfortable, and I got down to business quicker. So bring someone with you, even in a virtual world. I just loved, even if it was someone that I didn't speak to, I could just look across the room, or at least look across the chat. And if I see an individual with a lovely red hat, I'm like, you know what? He's here. That's cool. Make sure that you plan all that. There's a world in which you can still do that in terms of being virtual. It's not all about you. Now, the first thing usually out of my mouth is, asking questions. Well, these days it's how are you and your family doing? But you do want to connect. And you want to learn how you can help individuals, because there's a very high likelihood that even today that you're going to talk to a lot of people that realistically are not going to be your primary target for the types of opportunities that you're looking for. But that doesn't mean that you can't necessarily help them. So if I know, and Michael, I apologize, I'm going to be picking on you because you're the name here, but if I have a conversation with Michael and learn more about him and what it is that he's looking for, I may not have that answer, but I meet a lot of people. And when I'm out and about, then I'm going to remember, hey, you know who you should connect to? You should connect to Michael, because he helps connect virtual CISOs around the globe. And if that's what you're looking for, I got a guy. Make sure that I know that. People want to help you, but first I'd like to take in how I can help them. And actually, before I even get into be patient, but it's once I've asked them about their world, typically they're going to ask me as well, and I can be very, very, very specific. People want to help you, they just don't necessarily know how. So be very specific about it. Like, I'm talking to a sales guy, boom, boom, boom. They know exactly what we do, a quick back and forth, and it's great. But if I don't make that clear, family. I've got family members that have no idea what the hell I do. That's on me. Most of them do. And when they are out and about, they will help me. And then lastly, be patient, man. It's hard. All of this is hard. And you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. And you're going to have good events and you're going to have bad events. And that's fine. We'll get to the process. And I keep referring to it. But if I can just fall back on the process and know that it's going to work, for basketball fans out there, if Steph Curry, or a superstar basketball player, misses 10 3-pointers in a row one game, he's going to go back the next night, practice the same exact way before the game, and do this and run the same plays during the game, because he know the process works. Trust the process. And again, like I'll point out to, hey, everybody wake up. Here's the process. All righty. Mistakes. Don't do this stuff. Being unprepared. Simply, it becomes a matter of just doing your research, know who's going to be there, have your laptops ready, have your Wi-Fi ready. What I actually super love, and I'm not necessarily seeing it just yet, but if in today's session, if you're in anything virtual that has a chat, throw in your name and LinkedIn immediately. And remember when I said tell people how they can help you? Have a sentence or two of exactly that. Throw it in at the chat, at the top of the chat, and then you're done. And you could most likely be having, I wouldn't be offended by any means. You grab your phone and you can easily have side conversations with 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Because if there's a randomness to the networking event that you're in, you may or may not be able to meet individuals. But if you've done that initial bam post at the top of a chat, people scroll up. Oh wow, this individual is what I'm looking for, or you know what? Wow, that guy sounds interesting. You can connect, either do it then or do it later, and you can kind of cut through the weeds. But be prepared for your events. Don't just simply push your resume. Like I said, it is about building those relationships and make sure that you can do exactly that. And dismissing anyone is unimportant. I go to a lot of events and I meet really young people that are students and they're looking for whatever it is, or developers, and I may or may not necessarily be connected to someone that can help them. But I don't know what an individual is going to turn into. Plus, I mean, when the empathy comes into it, all of us, you know what? I'll speak for myself. I've been a dumb student. I didn't know what the hell I was doing with my life, and confused and struggling. And I didn't have too many people that kind of looked out for me from a professional standpoint. You just kind of have to do it all your damn self. And if I can help anyone mildly and connect them with someone, I'll do my best, because it's hard, and it's harder now. Again, dismissing someone is unimportant. Building those relationships, learning more about people, and hell, I might not have anything to help you, and you might not be able to help me now, but I might bump into someone that will. I want to make sure I can have that information and pay attention. It doesn't take a lot of effort. As I said, not explaining exactly how you need help. I've already kind of touched on that, but you made a lot of you can make great rapport. Maybe you're having drinks somewhere and everything's awesome. Hey, nice face mask, and you're really connecting, but you haven't necessarily explained why it is that what it is that this person, what you need help with, but very, very specifically. Making sure to ask to help. Don't just go out and collect business cards. And again, I keep saying it, but I'm gonna have a system towards this. Like, that's fine, but what the hell are you gonna do with all of them? Who doesn't have a stack of cards? That what do? You scan them? You throw them out? Not even sure what. There should be more of a purpose to it. And the last one is key. And I'll be honest, I'm terrible with this sometimes, failing to follow up because I get busy. I'm on site. I'm working. I'm physically on site for a number of clients these days. And as such, I forget. There's no excuse anymore. You can schedule things. There's tools to do that. Hootsuite, been in the news a little bit right now. But in terms of credibility, in terms of sending messages, there's tools you can use. But spend the next morning, if you can, if you did grab that useful stack of cards, follow up and let individuals know that, do the thing that you're going to do, connect. And if it takes 2 seconds, just do it right away. If I said that I was going to connect with you on this chat, ideally I've already tried to right now, because you get busy. All right, one thing, we talk about this all the time: gamification. 12 points. I have a system to networking, and with this, absolutely, man. If you go into an event and I love it. Go talk to 2 new people, and that's lovely. But generally speaking, within my company and my firm, my team, you're gonna get reamed out for talking to just 2 people. So how do you figure out a way to stay productive? Without this system in place, which I'll explain, I have, and now I will zoom in on this. I have spent 2 hours at an event, and I know I haven't hit my target or my goal, and I go right the heck back in to the pit in person or back into the chat. So get 12 points. So a 3-pointer is if you meet someone and they are a connector. So they aren't necessarily a recruiter by any means, but there's someone that knows a lot of people potentially in your space, and that you can ideally book a coffee with them, a virtual coffee. I'll add in book a coffee on the spot to that point. That's 3 points. Get that business card, 3 points, and you need 12. 2 points is you might find someone that works at the target company that you're trying to, you're trying to connect with or what have you. Solid, 2 points. But the difference between 2 and 3 is that 3 points continually feeds your pipeline, your process. That individual is connected to other individuals that are connected to other individuals. The target company kind of ends right there. And then the 1 point, which interestingly enough, you might have thought should have been the most important, should have been 10 points, should have been the end of your night, finding a recruiter or hiring manager with an open position. The networking is not about the open position because they're rare, or they might be plentiful, but the overlap between you, the Venn diagram between your skills and the roles open might be a fairly small intersection. So focus on the top points. And like I said before, I've been at events. There's a version of this that I'll do for actual prospecting that's a bit different. But 2.5 hours into a 3-hour event, I'm at 10 points. I'm going right the heck back in. I'm not done yet, even though I have a stack of cards. But I might have 15, 20 cards that aren't close to my 12 points. That matters. How do you know you're doing well in an event? And honestly, today, I would use this. 10, you know what? I get yelled at from my team for cutting you slack at 10 points, but 10 points, this system, use that, and you'll be in a better position. All right. Planning. Oh, I'll go back. Planning for all of this. I'll go quickly in a couple minutes and we'll see if you have any questions, but really setting goals, use the point system, researching the events. There's tons. You don't have to go to ones. I'm not going to go into events that aren't interesting to me, because there's enough out for you to get out to, even in this world. Follow-ups and developing, nurturing contacts, following up with people, having those coffees. When you say you're going to do something, do it. And then outside of the networking, you can, once you've kind of gone through all of that, go back into your existing contacts, and book those meetings, the coffees. I found it a lot easier to get the coffees these days with individuals that are in all of our shared state. People that I was dying to get a coffee with in the old world now will book a virtual coffee with me like nothing. We got the time, man. And lastly, no, just say it. This can be brutal. I enjoy this, and I'm not bad at it, and it's hard. Keep going. Like, just if we can lean back on the system, you have your follow-up process, you're doing all of those sorts of things, you've planned it out, you stretched it out. What I'll also say is, in the old world, I'd say I probably wanted to score 48 points per month. So if I knocked out those 48 points in the first couple of weeks of the month, I'm good. I'm not networking for the rest of the month. I do have my next month planned out for events, but like, plan it out in advance, work towards it, lean on people. It's hard, but it doesn't have to suck. You can enjoy this, but again, I think that requires some planning. So, having said that, I think that's close to the end of my time. If there are any questions, I know the chat's a funny place, so I'll keep my eye on that. But I'll leave this there. On LinkedIn, find me. Super happy to connect with anyone. This is a really, really cool opportunity, and I'm so thankful to the organizers for reaching out and allowing me to. This is my first time, and as such. But if you have any questions with any of this, Michael, please. I've thrown out the connection. If we want to connect at any point, please do so. Happy to. If there's any questions that you don't want to throw onto a public chat, feel free to shoot me a note, and I can talk about this stuff all day, which I'm assuming you guys can probably tell.